Hello again, Gabriel's here with another Disney story to tell. I will be doing the third story of my Disney storybook collection. This next story is Inside Out. When a little girl called Riley was born, an emotion named Joy took control inside Riley's mind. Joy was in charge of a console in headquarters, and she kept Riley happy. A golden sphere rolled into headquarters and Joy picked it up. This was Riley's first memory, and it showed her as a baby. It was golden because it was a happy memory. As Riley grew older, Joy was joined by 4 more emotions: fear, disgust, anger, and sadness. The emotions all worked together to help Riley. When an important event happened, a core memory was created, and they powered Riley's islands of personality. There were 5 islands: goofball, friendship, hockey, honesty, and family. When Riley was 11, her mom and dad announced they were moving from their hometown in Minnesota to San Francisco. The emotions panicked. How would Riley feel about leaving her home and all her friends? After a long car journey, Riley and her parents arrived at their new house in San Francisco. Joy tried to keep Riley happy by taking charge of the console that controlled her thoughts. Soon, it was Riley's first day at her new school. Joy gave each emotion an important job to do. Joy was determined to keep Riley happy on her first day. She drew a circle of chalk on the floor around sadness.
This is the circle of sadness. Your job today is to make sure that any unhappiness stays inside,
she told Sadness. At school, Riley had to stand up and tell the class about herself. She began to share a happy memory about playing hockey in Minnesota. But suddenly, her smile faded.
You've left the circle, Joy said to Sadness. You've touched the hockey memory sphere and it turned blue.
Riley started to cry, creating the first ever blue core memory. Joy was furious. She pressed a button and a tube began to suck away the blue sphere. But in the chaos, all 6 core memories were sucked up the tube, as well as joy and sadness. The 2 emotions were dumped far away in Riley's mind. The islands of personality had turned dark, since the core memories weren't in the holder to power them up. Joy knew they had to get their memories back to headquarters so the islands would work again. But headquarters was far away. Joy collected the 5 yellow core memories. She and Sadness headed across a bridge to Goofball Island.
But what if we fall down into the memory dump?
Asked Sadness.
We'd be forgotten about forever.
We won't fall, Joy replied.
Just think positive.
In headquarters, anger took control of the console. Riley became cross with her dad and she refused to goof around with him. Suddenly, Goofball Island began to collapse. Joy quickly grabbed Sadness and they made it to safety before the island disappeared into the memory dump. Joy tried to stay positive. They could make their way to another island through the winding shelves of long-term memory where millions of memories were stored. But Sadness slumped to the floor in despair. She realized that they could lose the other islands of personality. Joy picked up one of her legs and dragged her along. Anger was still driving the console as Riley chatted to her old friend Meg on her laptop. Meg told her about a new girl on the hockey team. Riley missed playing hockey with her old friends, so this news made her angry. Flames roared out of the top of Anger's head and Riley slammed her laptop shut. Back in long-term memory, Joy and Sadness heard a loud groan as Friendship Island fell into the dump.
Goodbye, friendship. Hello, loneliness,
said Sadness. Joy looked up to Hockey Island.
We'll just have to go the long way round,
she said, trying hard to stay cheery. On their way to Hockey Island, Joy and Sadness bumped into a funny-looking creature with legs like a cat and a trunk like an elephant.
You're Bing Bong,
Joy said.
You're Riley's imaginary friend.
Riley and Bing Bong used to play together. They had a rocket wagon that was powered by a song. But over the years, Riley had forgotten him. Bing Bong was in long-term memory looking for a good memory, so Riley would remember him and he could be part of her life again.
We're on our way to headquarters. Come with us and we'll get Riley to remember you,
said Joy. Bing Bong gave his bag to Joy to help her carry the core memories. He told Joy and Sadness that it would be quicker to catch the train of thought from Imagination Land to headquarters. The three of them arrived at the platform just as the train pulled away, but Bing Bong knew how to get to another station. When they walked inside Imagination Land, Joy and Sadness were amazed. There was a trophy town, a French fry forest, and a cloud town. They reached a house of cards, where Bing Bong found his rocket wagon. Meanwhile, Riley was at the tryouts for a new hockey team. At headquarters, anger, disgust, and fear tried to get Riley through it, but the emotions couldn't find the right memory to help Riley play hockey. Riley missed the puck, fell over, and stormed off the rink. Inside Riley's mind, Hockey Island sank into the memory dump. Joy, Sadness, and Bing Bong watched in horror from the gates of Preschool World. Inside Preschool World, some mind workers took Bing Bong's rocket wagon and threw it into the memory dump. "No!" yelled Bing Bong. He sat on the floor and cried sweets. Joy tried to cheer him up, but nothing worked. Sadness sat beside him. "I'm sorry they took your rocket wagon," she said. After they talked about how he felt, he said, "I'm okay now." Joy was surprised. Sadness had made Bing Bong feel better. Joy, Sadness, and Bing Bong finally made it to the train, but it soon stopped because Riley had gone to sleep. To wake her up and get the train moving again, Joy and Sadness found a huge, scary clown called Jangles hidden in Riley's subconscious, where her darkest fears lived. They led Jangles to Dream Productions, where Riley's dreams were made. The clown crashed into Riley's head, and she woke up with a start. The three of them ran back to the train and jumped aboard as it started moving again. Meanwhile, at headquarters, Anger decided that Riley should run away, back to Minnesota. As he plugged an idea bulb into the console, the idea popped into Riley's head. Riley needed to buy a bus ticket to Minnesota, so she sneaked downstairs and took money from her mom's purse. Back on the train of thought, Joy heard a noise. She looked out of the train carriage to see Honesty Island fall into the dump. Suddenly, the tracks crumbled away and the train crashed. Everyone leaped free of the train as it tipped over the cliff into the memory dump.
"That was our way home!"
Joy cried.
"We just lost another island! What's happening?"
"Haven't you heard?" replied a train worker. "Riley is running away." After the train crash, Sadness realized they could use a recall tube in long-term memory to get back to headquarters. But as Joy got sucked up the tube, the cliff underneath them began to break apart. The tube broke and Joy fell into the memory dump. At that moment, Riley was heading to the bus station, feeling nothing. Down in the dump, Joy looked at a memory of a time when Riley had been sad, but her friends had cheered her up. Joy realized that sadness was important. Riley's friends came to help because she was sad. Just then, Bing Bong appeared. The pair came up with an idea. They could use Bing Bong's rocket wagon to fly out of the memory dump. They sang loudly to power the rocket, but each time they flew up, they couldn't reach the top of the cliff. The friends gave it one last try, and, without Joy noticing, Bing Bong jumped out of the rocket wagon so it could make it to the top. As Joy looked back, she saw Bing Bong in the dump far below. "Go save Riley," he called. "Take her to the moon for me, okay?" Joy spotted Sadness floating away on a cloud.
"I only make everything worse,"
said Sadness. Joy had to reach her. Using the imaginary boyfriend generator from Imagination Land, she made a tall tower of boyfriends. Joy climbed up it and it swung towards Sadness. Joy grabbed a hold of Sadness and they flew through the air together towards headquarters. Splat! They hit the back window and started to slide down the glass. Anger, fear, and disgust ran towards the window. How were they going to get their friends inside? Disgust had an idea. She got Anger really mad until flames burst out of his head. She used the fire to cut a hole in the window. Joy and Sadness climbed inside. "Oh, thank goodness you're back," cried Fear. Joy looked up at the screen and saw that Riley was on the bus, ready to run away back to Minnesota. Joy realized that she had to let Sadness take control. Sadness stepped up to the console. She pulled out the idea bulb. On the bus, Riley suddenly felt very sad. She wanted to go home.
"Wait!"
She called to the driver, "I want to get off!" As the other emotions looked on, joy handed the core memories to sadness, and they all turned blue. Sadness placed them in the projector that played memories on the screen in headquarters. Riley arrived back home and told her mom and dad how she felt.
"I miss home,"
she said, remembering her life back in Minnesota. She began to cry. Riley, mom and dad hugged each other, and, at headquarters, a new core memory was created, which built a brand new family island. A few days later, the islands of personality had reappeared, with a few new ones too. Joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust were excited about the future. After all, Riley was 12 now. Anything could happen next. And that's the Inside Out story right here. The next story I'll be doing is about an Apatosaurus dinosaur who must find his way back home while traveling with a human boy. Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more videos. And remember, just think happy thoughts.